So I woke up this morning feeling like P. Diddy, and we represent the gang right quick. Hold on. All right, so I woke up this morning, I had a couple messages on Twitter, and I was told there was a video about the argument that Stick and I had. I was told that video was, and you guys know there's a long rival history between he and any other breathing human that has an opinion that differs from his on a specific human named Jared Goff.
So again, let's understand something here. Jared Goff can throw the ball deep.
Obviously, I expected like the video to have a bit of discourse and disagreement. You know, honestly, I expected it to be like, you know, disrespectful. I really did. But to be honest with you guys, it wasn't. So if you came here for like absolute disrespect, absolute clownery, I apologize, but probably not going to get that today. Please, 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 please. What world does that logic exist? I mean, maybe a little bit.
It's easy. Speak easy, baby.
I don't want to go too hard on my guy, but I do want to make some points because your boy commented on it, obviously. I'm made aware of this. I am petty. Mr. Never Lost. You know what I'm saying? I've conceded, but I've never been defeated. Time stamping. I mean, I took time on this comment. I timestamped points that were made, and then I responded with, like, then they're the truth, right? Obviously, Spinny's my boy. So at the very end of it, hey, if you're willing to make like an apology to Spinny, you know, I would love to have this discourse as content for either one of our channels, you know, for his, for our show. So hop in the video. The video did start like really honestly. It started truly, you know, respectful, and it was for the most part too. But I'm just gonna hop to the parts where I just want to, I guess, give you some facts of the matter. Starting with at the 9:36 mark.
In 2018, when the Rams made their Super Bowl run, they have an Ndamukong Suh on their roster. They trade for Brandon Cooks. They have Aqib Talib.
Okay.
Like, the Rams brought in all this extra talent to help propel the team to a Super Bowl. And to the Super Bowl they go.
DLF clearly makes the exact point of why you would want somebody on a team-friendly deal. You think those players don't cost money? Guys, do you know why the Rams could afford to make those moves? Because Jared Goff was on his rookie deal. That's because you were paying him less than 12% of your team's salary cap. That's why they could afford to make that move, to make a run for the Super Bowl, in which they did make it to. However, they lost to a guy who routinely takes less than 12% of the team's salary cap. What this is, too, if you guys aren't familiar with the statistic, well, since 1995, there has not been a quarterback to take up more than 12.2% of a team's salary cap space to win the Super Bowl. You guys can find this on the desert.com, I believe is where I originally found this, but there's multiple articles on this. It's essentially like talking about the value of a rookie deal for a quarterback specifically. And obviously, when you have any player on a rookie deal, you more than likely have them on a discount. So when it comes to quarterbacks, the people who take up the most salary cap, you really want that piece on a discount because it opens up so many more options for your team. He actually makes my case. It's beautiful because this is like near the beginning of the video, correct?
The Rams brought in all this extra talent to help propel the team to a Super Bowl. And to the Super Bowl they go.
So at this point, I could literally just mic drop if I wanted to. I mean, the gentleman just quite literally made my point. And mentioning they drafted Jared Goff, succeed another guy, and then they surrounded him with a shit ton of talent. The only quarterback to have won a Super Bowl while taking more than 12.2% of a team's slotted salary cap space was Tom Brady in 2018. 2018 when he defeated Jared Thomas Goff. And so that's essentially like where this whole statement comes from. I had this deep-rooted belief before this article, The Desert wrote it, right? If you guys go back to my YouTube channel, before Stafford was traded and the season ended, I said, hey, I think it's time to let Stafford go. I think people today on today's Woodward Heavyweight show, make sure you guys check that out from 5 to 7 on woodwardsports.com. But people were like, what if it's Lamar Jackson? What if it's Patrick Mahomes? What if it's, yeah, I still feel the same. I told you your odds were 1 out of 27. Or if it's flip the reverse card for you. You have 27 to 1. Like, you're going to want the 27, right? Especially if you're a fan of that team.
Some people are going to say that the Super Bowl loss was on Goff. Let's just be fair here. That's not true. Jared Goff had 2 passes to Brandon Cooks that got into the end zone, and Brandon Cooks dropped both of them. So now, if you include those touchdowns that should have been, it's a 14-13 Rams victory over a 3-13 Rams loss.
So, I mean, right away, like, this has no context to the video whatsoever. But he goes into defending Jared Goff. That's what this kid, that's what he's known for. He was to tell you, oh, Brandon Cooks dropped, X amount of passes that could have been for touchdowns. Fails to mention the 57% quarterback rating that Jared Goff had and the interception. Also, the fact that Jared Goff, I believe, threw 0 touchdowns for that entire playoff run. And that's because, again, that Rams team was so incredibly stacked. Kind of helped him out a bit there, huh? The next timestamp I have is 10:49.
So again, that example doesn't even work with Eazy's idea, because it's like, listen, the Rams won their Super Bowl because they traded for a quarterback. They didn't draft a quarterback to take over. They're like, hey, we're going to take Matthew Stafford. We're going to give you these 2 first-rounders and a third with Jared Goff. That's how it happened. So again, that incumbent theory that he has about, oh, well, you draft your quarterback and then he leads the team to victory, it didn't work with the 49ers. It currently isn't working because we don't know what you got in Trey Lance. And it didn't work with the Rams because the Rams traded for a quarterback that was a 12-year seasoned vet.
So that's another thing, right? The narrative of the whole argument somehow got shifted. Well, I'll tell you why the narrative of the argument got shifted to being purely based off rookie contracts. And that's not the narrative of the argument. As I said in the beginning of the video, the narrative of the argument is having a quarterback on your team that doesn't count more than 12% to your team's salary cap, affording you more pieces to surround that quarterback with to go and compete. Now, the narrative gets switched to in terms of a rookie quarterback, because then there's an actual argument to have there that you don't need a quarterback on a rookie deal. The only reason why the rookie deal gets brought up in the argument on my side is because you're locking yourself in for 4 years of paying that quarterback under 12% of your team's salary cap. That's why that's why I make the argument for a rookie. That's just like the most basic, easiest way to attain a quarterback on a salary less than 12%. Now you can make the trades for it, and if a guy's already signed to a big deal like Matthew Stafford, you're getting him on a discount because of the signing bonus has already been paid out to the Detroit Lions, so it's not counted towards your salary cap. The Detroit Rams almost said. The Rams won the Super Bowl with Matthew Stafford getting paid $20 million, which is 11% of their salary cap. I would then skip to, I'm going to go say around like 11:30-ish.
Plus, on top of that, you have to take a look at what the Chiefs did in the years that they had Alex Smith before they got Pat Mahomes. Let's just look at that history here really quickly. I've got it written down right now. In 2013, the Chiefs make 2 critical draft picks. They get Eric Fisher, an offensive tackle, who pretty much maintained that role for like 6 or 7 years before now he's with the Dolphins, I believe it is. You have Travis Kelce, who is arguably the best tight end in all NFL right now. They drafted him in the 3rd round. They drafted Fisher in the 1st. Then in 2016, the Chiefs make 2 more critical draft picks. They draft Tyreek Hill in the 5th round, and they draft Chris Jones. All of these players that I'm talking about were instrumental to the Chiefs winning that Super Bowl with Pat Mahomes a couple of years ago. I think it was, 2019 when they won that Super Bowl? And then, like I said, in 2017, the Chiefs went out and they drafted Pat Mahomes. Correct. My whole point is by the time
the Chiefs went to multiple playoffs with Alex Smith and ended up supplanting him with Patrick Mahomes. That was Detroit. We aren't even in the playoffs, and you guys want to lock your arms up to this guy for the long term and you're telling yourselves he's the answer. So his point of building up the playoff argument that makes my point that you can do it is that they were a good team. And they added offensive tackle and a weapon. Who did the Lions draft? Didn't they draft Penei Sewell? They have Taylor Decker. They have a top 5 offensive line. I feel like anybody with a football mind would say that, right? At least top 10. And then they drafted that Jamison Williams kid, Amon-Ra St. Brown. Those are considered weapons, right? Because he's going to go on and talk to you about adding Eric Fisher, then adding Travis Kelce as a weapon. Well, the Detroit Lions just went through that process, no? Whatever rookie they end up drafting under that 12% rule, have a roster to join, one already pre-built for them? I'd say so. All right. This one is, and I'm a little tired on this one, guys. I'm not going to lie to you. I just got done doing the Woodward Heavyweight show. I wish I had more energy to bring this thing. But 15:45 gets me juiced up.
Which then leads me to my next thing. Eazy wants to go with the same thought process that a lot of Lions fans that I've had this argument with about how, well, is it Jared Goff that's really doing all this that makes the offense look so good, or is it Ben Johnson? Well, here's the problem there, Eazy. This is something that you didn't address in the show, and this is something that your counterpart that was debating you didn't put in the show. Everybody wants to talk about Ben Johnson like he's this offensive mastermind, he's this offensive guru, which, don't get me wrong, Ben Johnson has done absolutely tremendous work in Detroit in his 1 year as the offensive coordinator.
Back it up, bud.
But let's just back this train up just a little bit, shall we? What exactly happened in the offseason? Oh, that's right. Jared Goff and Ben Johnson, they sat down for, what was it, about a week or two in the offseason where Goff and Ben Johnson, they built this offense. They built the offense that Jared Goff is currently running.
You guys know Jocko Willink? Big thing is accountability. It's part of leadership. If your counterpart and or employee or whatever you want to call it at this point, if you give them free reign to decide how things go a little bit, they're then forced to hold themselves accountable rather than saying, hey, the game plan this guy gave me didn't work. It's on him. That's part of good leadership, which Ben Johnson clearly possesses. Not only that, it's also good coaching. You look at guys like Bill Belichick. You look at guys like Greg Popovich. Greg Popovich has Tim Duncan, a 7-foot human that could probably do plenty of things in the basketball court. We've seen him shoot threes. We've seen him do all kinds of stuff. But he was nicknamed the Big Fundamental because he was only asked to do a certain thing on that team. And that certain thing helped them win a championship. That's what this is. Ben Johnson, much like Bill Belichick, is going to Jared Goff. He's saying, what do I have in this guy as a quarterback? What are his strengths, right? He can do this, you could do that. And you bring Jared Goff in as part of this process, right? Because he is the person you're examining. Jared, what do you think you're best at? I want to put you in a position where you're most comfortable, where you feel like you can succeed because I want to succeed just as much as you do. Okay, you think you're good at this, this, and this? I think you're good at this, this, and two. I don't know how I feel about you doing this so much. Maybe we'll check this one off as a weakness. I agree. I don't think we should be doing this, X, and this with you. I don't think we should do an X, Y, and Z with you. I don't think those are your strengths. If you guys remember the week following the Thanksgiving game, Ben Johnson spoke with the media, and he told you guys, I think Jared Goff can make most of the throws that we give him. Not every throw, but most of the throws that we give him.
I'm not going to overanalyze, hey, can he or can he not make this throw? Jared Goff can make pretty much every throw in this league. Pretty much every throw in this league that we'd ever ask him to do. That we'd ever ask him to do.
And that's because they sat down and they tailored this offense around Jared Goff and his abilities. So if you're going to say that Ben Johnson is the reason that Jared Goff is succeeding, you're not exactly being 100% fair. Jared Goff's hands are just as much in this offense's blueprint and how the offense is ran as much as Ben Johnson. So if you're going to say that Ben Johnson is the quote-unquote mastermind, kind of the man pulling all the levers behind the curtains, you better include Jared Goff in that conversation because Jared Goff was just as instrumental in building this offense. Is the one tailoring the offensive playbook. Ben Johnson also has to be accountable to the other pieces of the offense that he has as well. Guys like DeAndre Swift, guys like DJ Chark, guys like Jamison Williams, hopefully now too. Amon-Ra St. Brown. He also has to accelerate or exemplify their strengths as part of this offense too. So at the end of the day, it has Ben Johnson who has the final say so. I would make it somewhat of maybe a 40-60 split. I think you've heard times Jared Goff speak on it where he's like, sometimes I feel like I recommend a play and sometimes they get put in, sometimes they don't. Because guess who has the final say so? Ben Johnson. There's a difference of having input and building the offense.
I remember Eazy also said that in 2021, when Goff first came here, that he was kind of insinuating that Goff was the worst quarterback in the league. Well, here's the thing. While 2021 was not a banner year for Jared Goff by any stretch of the imagination, he was not the worst quarterback in the league. In fact, I went back and I checked the stats on it.
I didn't insinuate that Goff was the worst quarterback in the league. I simply asked my counterpart, Stick, this Jared Goff guy that you speak of this year, that your knight in shining armor, where was he last year before Ben Johnson was involved in the offense? I was asked, what was he without Ben Johnson? And Flannel Sam said
he was probably the worst quarterback in the league.
Goff was 20th in yards, he was 20th in touchdowns, he was 17th in passer rating, and he was 24th in QBR. Touchdowns. He was not the worst quarterback by any stretch of the imagination. In fact, you could realistically say he was an average to a subpar quarterback in 2021.
All right, so there's 32 guys, so 16 is like your mid-mark. That's like where you would, 16 is Jared Goff's number. That's awesome. that's I like that. Okay. So 16 would be your mid mark. So let me rewind it real quick. Let me make sure that I'm not,
Goff was 20th in yards, he was 20th in touchdowns, he was 17th in passer rating, and he was 24th in QBR. He was not the worst quarterback by any stretch of the imagination. In fact, you could realistically say he was an average to a subpar quarterback in 2021.
Back and check the numbers, all right? 20th, 4 spots away from the middle of the pack. Okay. 20th in touchdowns, 4 spots away from the middle of the pack. 17th, so just, right around mid. 24th in QBR. That's 8 spots away from the middle of the pack. You can't say that was average. He says,
In
fact, you can say he was an average to subpar. In fact, average at that point would be ranking 16th, in which he ranked well below. Not one spot below 16th, not two spots below 16th, not three spots below 16th. Average would be 16th. That wasn't the case. So it's not in fact.
But again, let's just call fair here. What exactly was Jared Goff working with in 2021? Oh, that's right. He had Anthony Lynn, a guy who couldn't.
That is my favorite argument to discredit. What was Jared Goff working with in 2021 as a Detroit Lions quarterback? Well, he had Amon-Ra St. Brown. He had Josh Reynolds. He had Khalif Raymond, leading receivers for the Detroit Lions in 2021. So, what was Jared Goff working with in 2021 as his receivers? Leading receiver, Amon-Ra St. Brown. He's on the 2022 roster. TJ Hawkinson, he's been on the 2022 roster. Khalif Raymond, he's been on the 2022 roster. Josh Reynolds, that's weird. So, okay, on that roster, so he's working with the same. Okay. Oh, Josh Reynolds only played 10 games for the Detroit Lions in 2021? That's fair. Josh Reynolds, who's one of the leading receivers this year, only played 11 games up to this point. One more game? Oh, that looks like the same numbers. Guys, tell me the difference between these two people. Tell me who's who right here. Just give me. Wait, they're the same guy? Damn.
He had Anthony Lynn, a guy who couldn't call a game plan to save his life. In fact, it was so bad.
Anthony Lynn! Oh, I forgot about this part. Let's talk about Anthony Lynn. Anthony Lynn, a guy who couldn't call a game to save his life, he says. Anthony Lynn, the same guy who had Justin Herbert in his rookie year, put up better stats than Jared Goff did last year. Because Justin Herbert's more talented. That's why. Anthony Lynn brings up another perfect example of why you want to draft a rookie this year or pretty damn soon, right? Because Ben Johnson, in my opinion, is the catalyst behind this offense. Why it's a top 5 offense. Why it's a top 5 scoring offense in the league right now. He's the catalyst behind the revival of Jared Goff's career. That's Ben Johnson. I'm telling you right now, and we're kind of going over this a little bit right now, and maybe my energy drink's kicking in. That's why I'm waking up a little bit. So if Anthony Lynn can't call a game to save his life, but the rookie quarterback he put in the previous year was outperforming Goff, that would just mean talent can make up for poor coaching if you don't make the right hire immediately. This is who's guiding Justin Herbert, defensive coordinator Brandon Staley, and then Joe Lombardi. You guys remember Joe Lombardi, don't you? Martha Ford fired him because he sucked. Matter of fact, teams used to tell Golden Tate in game that they know exactly what play they're calling because of how simple the offense was. Did Joe Lombardi level up that much? Or can these average to okay coaches look better when there's actual talent in there? I think I'd point to another example in Green Bay for that one too.
That Dan Campbell, a first-time head coach, relieved him of his play-calling duties, took over in tandem with Ben Johnson, and then all of a sudden, the offense starts coming to life.
Oh, hold on. He admits that Dan Campbell took over the offense in tandem with Ben Johnson, and Goff came to life. You're saying that Ben Johnson was part of Goff coming back to life. You literally just said it.
Took over in tandem with Ben Johnson.
Jesus.
And then all of a sudden, the offense starts coming to life.
You're literally just saying that Dan Campbell was in tandem with Ben Johnson, reviving Jared Goff in that second half of the year last year with the Detroit Lions. You literally just said it was Ben Johnson.
Is it Jared Goff that's really doing all this that makes the offense look so good?
Oh, what? What is wrong with you people?
Dan is also very high on Ben Johnson. Right. I'm just curious his role in your game and the game plans. How we did this year, what your experience was like working with Ben.
Yeah, Ben really stepped in there about halfway through the year and became very involved and having a lot of ideas and installing things and having his hand on a lot of the stuff the quarterback position was doing and really every position, wide receivers, and really just heightening everybody.
Remember how Jared Goff over the last 6 weeks that he played was the third best quarterback in the NFL? I do. I remember that. Jared Goff was the third best quarterback in the NFL over the last 6 games that he played, only behind Joe Burrow and Aaron Rodgers. I remember that very vividly. Is it Jared Goff that's really doing all this that makes the offense look so good, or is it Ben Johnson?
This shit drives me fucking insane. You literally just fucking said it was Ben Johnson. What the fuck is wrong with you? The revival of Jared Goff last season, it's Ben Johnson's scheme. We know what it is at this point. Let me get into the weapons argument. The same 3 weapons. We just went over that, so I'm not going to waste too much time on that. multiple starting rotations in 2022. 20-minute mark in the video where he speaks on the offensive line constantly rotating. Has that not happened this year? Have we not had a constant rotation of guards? Getting to the 21:55 mark. So from weeks 5 to 8, let's just I'll hop to the time.
And then pretty much from weeks 5 through 8, the whole offense falls apart. Now, why does it fall apart? Because of the same problem we had last year. You have injuries. St. Brown misses a couple of games. He misses the Seahawks game, and then he gets knocked out early in the Dallas game with a concussion. DJ Chark is MIA for several weeks. Same thing with Josh Reynolds. And then, oh, by the way, we traded away TJ Hawkinson in, what was it, week 8, week 9?
Come on, what are we doing? Oh, he didn't have that guy, so that's why I fumbled on that play. Oh, I this guy wasn't available, so that's why I threw it directly to the other team. Amon-Ra missing makes Jared Goff inaccurate. Oh, okay. That adds up. That's an A plus B plus C situation. Amon-Ra missing makes Jared Goff fumble. That's so, it's simple logical equation. That just makes perfect sense.
If you don't have your playmakers, quarterback can't get that ball.
Fucking, I can't. I'm getting fucking irritated watching this now. God, I'm trying to be nice. What are we fucking doing here, guys? What are we fucking doing? That makes zero fucking sense. You're the one that throws the fucking ball. Not Amon-Ra St. Brown. Not Khalif Raymond. Not Josh Reynolds. They're not making the throws. Jared Goff was making the throws. The guy you want to credit. There's just, what world do we live in where a guy gets every single piece of the credit and none of the fucking blame? Please. In what fucking world does that logic exist? This one, clearly. But I don't consider it logic, so it doesn't exist as logic. Common sense, logical answer. No. Oh, man. And then, all right, this is actually where I turn the video. I'm getting frustrated. Dude, we're actually watching it now. I'm getting irritated now. At the 24:48 mark, DLF, man, the advanced analytic argument for the Detroit Lions offensive line and why they aren't one of the top units in the league. I want you to watch him fumble over his definition of this too, because he doesn't quite fully understand it clearly.
PFF, first and foremost, how they evaluate grading for blocking. This is exactly what is on their website. It says a negative grade for a blocker is when they lose the block in a natural framework of play quicker, which is quicker.
Bruh.
Again, not taking shots. We're just breaking this thing down piece by piece. I know that ESPN breaks theirs off of 2.5 seconds. Do you know the average time for an NFL quarterback to throw, the time of release in the NFL? 2.5 seconds. The advanced analytics, whatever. You guys love all advanced analytics you want. I'll go off of actual stats. That's what I'm going to go off of. Concrete stats. This is what this means. It's not a formula created by somebody else's bias.
Quicker, which is quicker.
Right? If a quarterback gets sacked, that means the offensive lineman neglected his block. Or, defender, got the better of him and shed his block. And then got to the quarterback and made a sack. Jared Goff is the least sacked the least sacked starting quarterback in all of 2022. And he's played all 16 games thus far. So if you're going to sit there and try to pretend that this Detroit Lions offensive line is one of the top units in the league, is fucking clown shit. Absolute fucking clown shit. Anybody that watches the fucking game of football would tell you he has all fucking day back there to throw the damn ball. That's why he takes his sweet fucking time to make every single read, and he makes the correct one. Dan Campbell spoke to this in the press conference today.
It helps when your old line protects like it's protecting. I mean, that helps everything. Because this guy, look, here's what we know about Goff, man. You give him just a minute to see it.
I will not tolerate absolute nonsense like that as fact. We'll go off of actual stats. We'll go off of actual film where Jared Goff has beyond reasonably amounts of time to throw the ball. Go and count the game-winning play against the New York Jets. I know if not, number one, top 5, Jared Goff, you count a full 3 seconds where he's able to make that read to Brock Wright for the game-winning touchdown. This happens multiple times. Does it break every once in a while? Yeah, bud. That's why there's 22 sacks on the gentleman throughout the entire year. But to try to discredit them as being an elite unit. Dan Campbell, matter of fact, for the Chicago Bears game, had the trenches come out first to establish identity. You want to know why? Because that's part of their fucking identity. The offensive line is one of the better units in the entire league. And I'm talking about if you want to open up units to defensive lines, receiving corps, running back stables, whatever the hell you want to. The Detroit Lions offensive line ranks amongst the elite. Ben Johnson opened up his press conference one time before even being asked a single question. And what did he do? He thanked the Detroit Lions offensive line for making his job easier.
How about that offensive line, huh? These guys are playing their tails off, and as we know, this game, particularly this part of the year, guys get dinged up, and shoot, man, we're fortunate to have a bunch of really tough guys up front. So it's really a security blanket for me right now in terms of being able to call this game and not have to worry about them being able to function and do their job. So just want to give them a shout out as we get started here today. They've done a great job. Our tackles are as good as it gets in this business. Frank's playing out of his mind at center right now, and then our guards are playing really solid football as well. So makes my life a lot easier.
Just as Jared Goff openly admitted to spending more money on Christmas gifts for the offensive line than he did his own fiance. If you have a girl in your life, if you have a fiance in your life, you would never tell that woman that you spent more money on your boys. You wouldn't. And she wouldn't accept that either. Maybe she did. Maybe you got a cool girl. I don't know. But come on, guys. You're not publicly displaying that information if you're not internally grateful for the offensive line giving you fucking night and day out there to throw. And then my favorite. I've said every part's my favorite. None of it's my favorite. At the 27-minute mark, he goes down and names a list of Super Bowl winning quarterbacks on rookie deals. 12%. 12%. 2%. 12%, man. That's what we're tallying up here. 12%. 12%. Not rookie deals. But if you get a guy on a rookie deal, you're then allowing yourself to operate on a deal lower than 12% for at least 4 years. Let's say we're across from a river, and there's one path in which has worked 26 times out of 27. That path has gotten that person across the river safely without them getting wet, without them falling in. And then there's this other path that everybody else, we're going off 27 because there's 27 Super Bowl champions. If you go the other path, you could discuss more than 27 examples where it didn't work. If the odds are 1 out of 27 of you making it across the pond using that path, why would you take that path? The odds are in your favor. They're just not. Anyway, guys, if I do want to give you guys an out for the Jared Goff goofies, it is the fact that Brad Holmes has multiple first-round picks. He has multiple second-round picks. He's clearly showed the ability to draft, in which, it's kind of the opposite of having that, the cheaper quarterback where you could afford to purchase talent. It's where you have an expensive quarterback, but you have, the rest of the talent on rookie deals. The only issue with that is you're kind of banking on your rookies to pan out. Your rookies have to pan out in that situation, which is, it's very well possible, especially with Brad Holmes. I can't tell you it's not. Brad Holmes is hitting home runs right now. So that is a possibility. But again, 27 times, 26 times, my friends have made it on this path across the river safely versus not.
Took over in tandem with Ben Johnson, and then all of a sudden, the offense starts coming to life. Remember how Jared Goff, over the last 6 weeks that he played, was the third best quarterback in the NFL? I do. It says a negative grade for a blocker is when they lose the block in a natural framework of play quicker, which is quicker.
Have you ever had a dream that you want him to do you so much you could do anything?